Okay, so now that we know how to manipulate our box from the last video, let's talk about how we actually move around the object itself so that we can see different sides of the box. So far, we've only been seeing the front and the top. We've never even seen the bottom. We don't even know what's back here at all. So the very first thing I'm going to do is let's just make sure we're in the move widget, which is this forward thing up here again. Does not matter what widget we're in, just going to make things easier though. And to move around this object, the first thing we're going to do is a technique called arc rotate, which kind of takes the center of the universe, which right now is kind of this box because it's near this grid. The grid actually, these darker lines on the grid actually lead to a 0, 0 point where they intersect in the world. It's kind of the origin of the world. But we're going to rotate around this object. So we're going to hold down the Alt key on our keyboard, and we're going to take your middle mouse wheel and you're going to click it in. So the button that is your middle mouse wheel. And when holding both of those, if you move left and right, we can actually spin around our 3D object. Okay? And then also, the same button combination, if we move up and down, we can actually see the tops and the bottom of our 3D object as well. This is super useful in 3D, and you'll use it a ton. Okay? This is an easy way to get around, to see different spots. Now, let's say that I needed to zoom in on this particular point. Let's say that this little back corner right here. First of all, what I want to do is I want to zoom. So I want to get closer to this object. It's kind of far away right now. And there's two different ways I can do that. I can take my mouse wheel and I can just click it forward, or I can click it back and I can just scroll it, just like a normal web page or anything like that. Or if I want a more precise amount of level of zoom, because right now you can see it's jumping considerable amount, I can hold down Control and Alt at the same time, and then middle mouse click, just like with the arc rotate, and I can actually move the mouse forward and backwards to get a more fine amount of zoom to get me to just where I need to go. And the very last thing we're going to want to be able to do is to pan the image. Not rotate, but actually just kind of imagine if this was a flat image and move it left and right. And how we do that is super simple. We just click by itself the middle mouse wheel button in. And when you're doing it right, this little hand will appear. As you can see, as I move left and right, I'm not actually spinning around the object. I'm just moving the kind of camera left and right. And it also works with up and down. I'm not actually rotating around it. I'm just doing that. So one quick recap. If we want to rotate around the object in any direction, we hold down Alt, middle mouse click. If we want to zoom in, I should say, if we want to zoom in, we can middle mouse wheel scroll forward and backwards. Or we can hold down Control Alt and middle mouse button click and then just move the mouse forward and backwards. And if we want to pan, it's just the middle mouse click in by itself. This will move us left and right. Now sometimes we'll get the object a little bit away from us. Maybe it's off to the side here, and when we try to go and actually rotate around it by holding down Alt and clicking the middle mouse wheel in, you'll notice it's a little weird. It's not really centering on anything. It's kind of odd. So what we can do to recenter the object in our viewport and kind of our attention for all the tools to work is there's a shortcut. You can just hit the Z key on your keyboard. And as soon as I do this, you're going to notice everything kind of jump. All these windows are going to center around the object we have selected, which you can see because it's highlighted in the gizmo. But I'm going to hit Z right now. Boom. You can now notice it's right at the center of our world, and as I rotate, it's kind of looking right at the center of this thing. I can use the mouse wheel to zoom out a little bit, and you can tell that we're just kind of focused in on this one object. Now, something that may have been different in the last video from you, and it probably still is at this point, is that my box is black, while your box may have a different color applied to it. That's okay. We're going to address that real fast so we're all on the same page when it comes to the color of the box. And I'll explain why my box is black coming up here real quick. So when we have our box selected, for any reason you clicked off of it, there will be nothing in this name and color section. Again, this will only really show up if we're in this kind of right tabbing. So we'll click on the box, and we'll see a name here. This is actually the name of the object we currently have selected. We could name this to whatever we wanted, but box 001 is fine for now. This color swatch next to it is the current color of our box. So if I double click on it, you might have a green box, a blue box, a pink box right now. It doesn't matter. What does matter is moving forward is all you have to do is where it says assign random colors, yours might be on. If it is and it's checked, uncheck that. And then all you have to do is select the black color for your object and hit OK. Why we're going to do that is because when we start getting into the wireframe view of our object, that color is what will determine the color of the wires, the white right now, of our object. So we'll actually do a step. This is going to get a little confusing, but do not worry. It is super easy. We're actually going to apply a material to this box, because right now this is just kind of its generic math color. It's not actually using any kind of information to render. It's just solid. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to come up here to the top, and we're going to click on this sphere that has this like little box in it, and when you hover over it, it's like material editor. And we're going to click on that. Now, my material editor may look different than yours, and that's okay. We're going to change that real fast. You might have something when we click on this modes button and this slate material editor, you may have a material editor that looks like this. So we're going to change it back to the material editor that I'm currently using, which I think is far superior because I'm old and I've used it for a long time. So when you click on modes, go to the compact material editor. Your whole window should change to something like this. You may not have as many like these little balls up here, spheres, as I do, but don't worry, it's all the same. As long as you click on the most, let's click here. You probably have something that looks like this. So click on the upper rightmost one. It really doesn't matter. Understand that these are just different spheres that you can adjust. These are just previews of your materials, aka the way your object's gonna look once you put it into the world. And we have a couple different values down here. We're not really that worried about all the settings at this point. Understand that it's material 1 because we're on the slot and they're numbered 2, 3, 4, 7, whatever. So just be on 1. If you're not, it's okay. And these are just some basic ways that the engine renders it. It uses some math, and these are different names for different types of math, the way it calculates the lighting. And the default color is gray right now under diffuse. So this is the color that the actual object is going to be in our world. And all I have to do is have this window open, have my box selected, so make sure it's clicked on and the gizmos are there and the names popped up. And all I have to do is have my first slot selected as well, highlighted, and there's this small little green button here. It looks like a ball going to a green arrow. And I hover over it, it says assign material to selection. And when I click on that, you're going to notice, look, my box is now gray, okay? And that is good. It means that now this way that the engine views it and will shade it with its lighting will be this gray color. And I can now change the color of the object from this diffuse tab if I wished. I could come in here and I could make it green or brown or purple or whatever I wanted it to do. But I'll just hit cancel that because I like it gray when I'm working. So the reason why we made this first color black is when I unselected the object, you'll notice that the frame around it is black. Now, if for some reason I wanted my wire frame, which is what that's called, the wire around the object, to be a different color, I could assign the color to be green. And then when the object's not selected, it's now got a green wireframe. And that's the whole reason why we change it to black and not assign random color, because it's more of a preference when you're working to visually see a black wireframe with a gray model. It helps kind of see the information better. At least that's the way I feel. You can do whatever you want. You want a red wireframe and it makes you feel happy, go for it. Not going to stop you. So once that's all set up, we're now ready to actually modify this box. And we're going to get to that in the next video right here.